This is Russell Price. He's one of the developers at Bottle Rocket, and he wants to talk to you guys about Flow.
So Flow, if you don't know, it's essentially a code stream. It's similar to like a sequence. You also, I'm trying to think of, I had a bunch of plans in my head and then forgot about this and didn't do any more work on this document. Basically, they get collected. Like I said, the string, code string. Each collector will run a flow once, which is super important to realize because we had a bit of an issue where an API was getting called like 8 times in a row because there's a bunch of collectors calling it. It's kind of just a visual. So first, last, age would be live data. Then you can change them all to flows. You can combine them, and then the little things at the bottom, you basically just can then turn them all back into live data. And I will go over like actual code because I learned better. Some things to watch out for though is they don't hold data. So every time you call it, it's going to recall everything it's done. And again, as I said earlier, multiple collectors means multiple calls. So it, again, may call APIs several times in a row. So code-wise, so this is, I'll show the demo first, I guess. So this is just a little demo where you can type in a name. So like, I guess Harry. And as you notice, this little count is basically every single time the flow gets hit. So it's just typing in this is 9. There's ways to not call as much by adding a debounce. So if you do like, you can slow it down, and same thing for this, you can speed it up. This is the counter for combined flow. So once all of these are done, I combine them into a data object that I just print out here. I'll show you guys. Okay, well, good enough. So as I said, so first is a live data that I just did data binding on, and how flows essentially work is, I like to think of them as basically a text change watcher is my favorite to think of them. So you can do the first flow, you can just do first.as flow. You can flow them on different dispatchers, so main, default, whichever ones else. There's obviously a bunch of other functions like map latest, map latest. Basically, if you emit 2 values, it'll only grab the latest one for you. And then at the end, you basically just have to spit out what you want. So this is a string, so I just want to return whatever the user's typing. Last flow, same way, age, same way. Debounce, as I said earlier, makes it wait for you to stop typing. So it's a 1,000 millisecond delay. So in case you have a long last name or kind of slow about typing it. Age, you should be able to type faster. So less debounce essentially. Combine flows are basically combining each of these flows into my data object. And the way that works is like this. So you can say it's a flow, it's a person class. You combine, I believe you can combine up to 5 flows. And then you just give it the strings, basically like a function. I then have a combine counter to show. I can make it into the person class. Give it all the values, and then because I don't want to display useless data, you can do if it's missing, again, it's just a function I made. I give it null, else you return the data, and then obviously I want the newest one, so it's always the latest. And then from this flow, you can combine it. Well, not really combine it. You can then cast it basically as a live data, which is basically what I want. I want to print out the entire string you guys have seen, and then you can do errors. This is kind of, in my opinion, useless because you can essentially keep. You can essentially do a text change watcher, but I do have a couple of use cases where I use a bunch of flows for a personal app of mine where I need everything to be done. So I use a combined flow to spit out just one generic error for like 6 or 7 different things. And let me show you what that looks like. I got presenter mode. There you go. So the way the error thing works is essentially like this. So it watches the same as everyone else, and it lets you kind of do real time. So if you have like a digit, or you can do errors. like I said, I wouldn't do it this way because you can just have because you have to watch this value anyways to set the error. So if you're just gonna have like basic, I would do like a binding adapter. But if you need several things into one and they all matter, you can then do a combine and use that as your error, which is nice because it kind of keeps it all in your view model. Then that's really all I had. It's just an introduction to Flow. I don't go too in depth.
Russell, do you, I think the code could be really useful possibly for people who wanted to kind of poke at it in the future. Do you have any plans to share it or anything along those lines?
Yeah, after this I can throw it up on my GitHub.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question. So is there any reason to like prefer creating flows in the V model versus like in the UI layer? Like, do you have to worry about subscriptions and like unsubscribing or anything like that? Kind of like you had to do with ArcsJava?
No, it's where you don't have to worry about unsubscribing flows. They're all kind of self-contained in the lifecycle. However, if you use channels, you do have to control the channels. So in an app that we worked on, we used channels because a channel will hold the data for you. Unlike flow, so like I said, actually I can show you that. So I have a clone data. So each of these things is watching this combined. So if we use this clone, we got presenter mode. So let's show that real quick. And like I said, this was a big issue initially we came across where we had several variables watching one API result essentially, and like I said, because flows don't keep data, each time something needs it, so we have clone and person. I forgot I had filling some junk data. So that used to be 1 and now it's 2. So basically every time you like just type in 1 digit, it's now doubled because this is calling it and this is calling it. And that is just one thing I guess you need to watch out for with flows. So if you're gonna have a bunch of stuff watching one, it's usually best to like shove it into a channel and then let everyone watch the channel because the channel will just keep the latest data.
Okay, cool. Thank you. One more question real quick. Like in comparison to RxJava, do you find like a lot of the same operators are available that you have? I mean, it's probably more of a Kotlin question, but.
Yeah, Flow has I actually have a lot of operators. I can just go over a few real quick. Like you have Flow Warn, which again lets you choose dispatcher. You have all the normal ones like first null. You can give it like an actual collector if you want, if you don't want to like do it this way and cast its live data. You have a bunch of mappings. You can broadcast it. There's buffering. You can cancel flows if you really need to. I'm not super familiar with RxJava, so I do know though it does have a lot of the same like functionalities.
Cool. Thank you.
If you weren't using Flow here, how would you have to implement all of this?
The same thing. I would probably end up using just a bunch of text watchers in the fragment level, which this is one of the reasons I do like Flow a lot. Like I like to keep all my code realistically in the view model, and other than this one watcher for my error, which I have right here, where I observe it, everything else is in the view model. And like I said, if you're just gonna do like generic stuff, I'd do a binding adapter, and then you wouldn't even need this. But yeah, it'd just be after text change listeners if I was going to implement the same thing.
And that'd be in the UI layer.
Yeah.
More than in the actual view model layer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, Russell, I'm sorry, I think I forgot to thank you. Thank you very much.